Welcome back to the channel. Today, British Infantry. I'm painting a bunch of stuff up at the moment, so I might as well do some videos and record it. It's not that much extra effort, and I'd like to put this stuff out there just in case anybody sees my stuff and wants to jump into Napoleonic wargaming. So this is a base. It's for whatever, but it's a 40mm base, 4 men on a 40mm base. I use it for everything from sharp practice. The game of choice for me for large scale Napoleonics is Napoleon at War, which you can use 40mm bases for that. Anyway, the real part about this is that I'm going to paint up a miniature from scratch, just as these guys are. So the first step is to spray it white. I always start from a white undercoat. You don't have to, but I always start from a white undercoat. It's just so much easier. And after the white undercoat, just paint the white parts of the miniature white. You will think that a Napoleonic British infantryman is red, but you'll actually see, look at this, white, 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 white. The backpack strap, white. The tunic lace, white. The crossbelts, white. The pants, white. There's so much white that it's actually easier to go white and then just paint in the red in the recesses. That's what I do. So we're going with the white. We'll go with the painted red. I use Mephiston red because that's the red I have. You want a sort of darker red, and then if you've got a darker red and a lighter red, that works just as well. You want to use your darker red for this one. After doing the blocked areas, just a brush, very thin, and just go in and pick out all the red in the recessed areas. So don't worry if you've got it a touch messy. It really won't matter when you get when you start talking about where are they? Four guys on the base like that. You're not going to see that this guy back here or this guy up here has got a bit dodgy. You know. Anyway, anything white you paint it over as well. You can always come back and fix things up. You're going to come over it anyway. This is just to get the colours down. Doesn't have to be perfect. So just quick once over. Want to make sure we've got all the little gaps, at least some colour. Arm in the recess there, at the rear, the other arm, and just on top of there's a little shoulder strap thing. Up next, we're going to move on to the black. Onto the black. So for the black, we're talking about the shako, talking about the shoes, and we're talking about the cartridge box and backpack. Not this bit up here. This is the greatcoat, so we're not going to touch that. The bayonet scabbard as well. So shoes, bayonet scabbard, cartridge box, haversack, backpack, and the shako itself. Because we've got this handy little tool up here. I do have one of those Games Workshop miniature holder things, but well, one, I can't really use it here because of the size, but I find it really annoying because I paint these by the sort of 8 or 9. As you can see behind me, this huge thing of miniatures. I'm painting them sort of 60 or 70 at a time. To do these battalions, I do them in lots of either 12 or 24, so 3 bases or 6 bases at a time. So to you constantly have to keep changing that holder out would be just too far. So all the black, and let's get started. One thing you want to do is, if you can, avoid the painting over the straps because they're going to be white. But do make sure you get nice and in that recess there. Alright, so I've accidentally gone up on that. Don't worry about that. We'll wait till it dries, come back and repaint it. So what I like to do if I do a screw up is I'll just sort of put it to one side with any other mix-ups that I get, and then I'll come back once it's dried. Normally after I've finished the lot, 8 or 12 or 16 or whatever it is, the mistakes will be dry. I'll just come back to them and quickly just touch them up. So it's never the end of the world when you make a tiny mistake. So there we go. Do be careful with this. Whenever I say be careful, I just mean like it's going to be a little bit more irritating for you if you accidentally do this. Just this plume here, the bottom's going to be red, the top's going to be white. So don't be overly concerned with it. Again, down here, I'll just get a little bit of white on the brush, smack across that. It'll be fine. Try and leave these straps clear. The roller top is going to be brown. It's going to be grey, sorry, and that is all of the black. Sometimes I don't bother painting the shoes. As you can see here, they end up getting part of the. I don't really weather my miniatures. I just sort of, as I'm basing them, if stuff gets on the shoes, I'll leave it on the shoes. So you can see this guy here has got some dirt and some other junk, and the guy in front's got a bit of brown on there. So I find just normal black shoes, and then as you're basing, obviously don't coat your miniatures, but if stuff gets on there, stuff gets on there. These guys are on campaign. Now I should point out that if you are not the greatest fan of painting white, for example, maybe you don't want to paint the white pants, it's very acceptable if you're doing these. Guys with the stovepipe shakos with the plume in the middle. It's perfectly acceptable to do these guys in brown pants. Brown will be the most common color, being sort of the Spanish cloth, but also grey or really any earthy neutral colors. Lots of patches. Patches were often done. So maybe you want to put like a big rip down the side and have like a triangular patch to just add color to your mini. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, brown pants were very common. Personally, for me with this thing, I haven't gone down that route. However, with my riflemen, some of my riflemen have brown pants, that sort of thing. It's perfectly acceptable to mix up the pants a little bit. If you're going for the 1812 onwards with the Belgic Shakos, That's the guys who aren't this but are still Napoleonic British. Then grey is pretty much the only real colour you can do. You can get away with browns and that sort of thing because they were still in the peninsula. But if you want to actually wargame at Waterloo, you're basically not stuck with, but grey is definitely the more common and more acceptable colour for that period. Okay, next we'll do the water canteen. Oh, we'll do the water canteen there, and that'll be blue, and the grey greatcoat. So the Macrae blue canteen, which will have the regimental number on it. Have I done the regimental number on this? I've done it on one of them. Here it is. I have actually been crazy enough to do it on one of them, the 87th. You can get transfers. I do not want to do transfers, nor do I want to go through and do them all. So, grey on the top, which is Dungeon Grey, and then Macrae blue for the water canteen. Now we're going to leave this bit here. See the strap there? That's going to be left white, as you can see here, and that'll eventually be painted brown. And you can see that that brown there corresponds with the brown strap you can see on some of the miniatures, not all of them, but on some of them. In this case, yes, we do have it. This is actually this miniature here for comparison. So, sorry, rambling. Grey greatcoat and blue canteen. So that's that. Next we'll do the cuffs and the collars with green, and we'll move on to the see, the problem with this is, since I'm only painting one miniature, I have to wait till the region next to it is dry. So normally I go paint all the cuffs. I do one color at a time. I paint by color, and so I just paint the cuffs, and then I do the bread bag, and then the musket, and then go somewhere else, and then come back to the musket and do the medal. Move around the miniature so that I'm never painting something that is touching something that I painted last time. But since I've only got the one miniature here, I'm going to have to be careful with it. So I will come back and do the brass next, and the cuffs and collars, since those two parts are completely separate, up here, and the collar, cuffs and the collars there.